eventually we might switch off Tailspire and go to OBS Ninja, where I'll send you guys a stream link, and basically, actually, it's very similar to Zoom. And way it happens is that it's just very similar to Zoom, but you can pull off individual links, so it helps for broadcasting essentially, and it's what other Twitchers use, I'm sure, and things like that. Plus, it's free, and you don't have to use Zoom, which is a Chinese-owned product. Why don't we go around the table a little bit? I'm just going to go around in my circle here, where everybody can kind of just introduce themselves as a player if they want. This is a chance for you to say as much as you want. Maybe your experiences with D&D, kind of what are you looking for in a game. And this is the whole point of a Session 0 is we're kind of just setting the tone for perhaps, a 6-month, year, 2-year type of campaign. Depends on what you got, how far you guys want to take it, and what you guys want to do. We're going to start off with Anos. I'm just going around the table in a circle.
I'm a player/DM. I played for about a little over 12 months. Actually, no, it's been about 2 years, 2 years and a half. I've been a DM for about 12 months, to be honest. Now, I've not got a character created currently. I got an idea of what I want to do, but it's just a theory at the minute. I don't think it'll work very well, but I'm hoping it does. My name's Josh, by the way, and I'm from the UK, so I do apologize if I seem a bit distant. It's like 12 a.m. for me right now.
A true min-maxer. And he's messaged me throughout the week of just trying to power game everything. I love it. What race? I want to play a half Shadowcar, half Tabaxi, half this and that. Raimundo, why don't we go to you?
All right. Let's see. I mean, I've been playing D&D since I was a kid. All editions and such like that. Dallas and I have known each other for about 27 years, I think now. Something like that. But yeah, started playing a little bit more of the online style with the pandemic. Created a couple of just module games, just to give people an opportunity to play and stuff. So I do every other week. I run games, one for East Coast, one for West Coast. I live out in Seattle. I'm a coffee roaster out here now. Lived in Philadelphia for years with him. But yeah, as far as like game goes, man, I'm looking to have some fun. I'm looking to learn more about the technical side of things, because I'm definitely a little bit behind when it comes to using things like Tailspire and Discord. I'm definitely old school pencil and paper. I'm still going to keep my journal and keep my pencil and paper going even during this game. So I'll have that up, building my character in that. Yeah, and as far as character goes, I'm going to go start off with Druid. With the idea of going circle of land, desert, think like oversized, wrestler, from the middle of the desert, military guy, old soldier. So he's going to be very much grapple in close. But I have a round of spells. I am going to take healing, so I'll have Cure Wounds and Healing Word at first level. And so I'm just going to try and play that out and see where the party takes us.
That sounds fantastic, man. So how was Gary Gygax when you played with him back in the day?
I am one of those kids that actually got the red box, man. So, yeah.
Believe it or not, back in the 1980s when I was really young, I think I got the first edition book. No, wait. I got the second edition book right before it went over to 3.0, I believe. Or somewhere in there. It was either from first to second, but it was way back. And that was when I was must have been 10 years old or younger. So basically, we were playing D&D before you were even born, Tumble.
Jesus, man.
Why don't you tell us about yourself, buddy?
So I'm 24. Live in Virginia. Haven't been playing D&D that long, relatively to everyone else here. Probably like within the last year or so. It always intrigued me. You know, I always wanted to play it, but never really like I never really played online. And I didn't really know anyone that like ever wanted to play like serious games. So if we did ever play, it was like semi-casual, like no one took it like too serious. So there wasn't, you know, there was a lot of commitment issues and things of that nature. So, and I work nights, so shit gets kind of lonely sometimes, man, you know, up by yourself, no one to talk to or anything like that. So it's nice to, you know, hang out with some new people, make some new friends, you know, play some D&D, just kick back, chill, have some fun. I'm gonna be playing a Changeling Rogue.
Cool.
But I guess I'll just say it now. He's like because of past trauma, essentially, he can't actually use like his changeling abilities. So he's like kind of stuck to one form. There's like a mental, like psychological, like deep-rooted issue for that. So like basically I feel like at least the most part of the game is him being kind of trying to navigate those waters and try to redeem himself and get past those psychological traumas of his, and just see where things go from there.
Sounds cool, man. And White, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, pretty good. I reckon that makes me the youngest person here.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
I think Tumble's giving you a run for your money. Okay.
I'm 23, so he's got a year on me. So
cool.
My story is very much like Tumble's. I've only been playing for like 6 months or so. I did the long-term campaign with Az, the Seal of the Sea, couple one-shots here and there in between. I've been interested in D&D as soon as I found it when I was younger. I work nights as well, so it's really hard for me scheduling wise to sort of meet up with people here in Australia, because that's where I'm from. And so I turned to online and met everyone here. So yeah, I'm really keen. I had an idea to play just a pure Hexblade, a Changeling.
Another Changeling? You guys are brothers? I like that.
Yeah, he, essentially, I tried to do a bit of a spin on the whole Hexblade idea. Instead of being in a pact itself that my Changeling, my PC made, it's something that's cursed within his family, for a bit more of a story element there. And he's trying to figure it out, see what's going on. And he just sees everything as a curse. You know, his gifts as a curse at the moment. So
yeah, I'm gonna have to read some more about the Eberron stuff, like a little bit more of their inspiration behind that race. I know that's where it comes from, because I think about like the faceless men of Westeros and the changelings and how they turn it essentially changelings through rituals. You know, they like rip off their own face or something. It's kind of cool. Morgleen. Sorry, go ahead, Tumble.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but it's funny that you mentioned that he thinks his gifts are a curse, because that's literally what my character thinks about his changeling abilities.
there you go.
So that'll be like kind of that interesting dynamic between us two.
You know, like this is a time too, like in the session 0, to like establish bonds, since like, you know, part of the challenge of D&D's was getting everybody in the same room. So it's like you guys could be brothers or brother-sister, depending on what you guys want to play. Morgleen.
Yeah, how you doing? My name's Dallas. I'm playing I've been playing D&D since about 1980. You know, since before all of you were born. Anywho, I'm not really that old. I'm a kid at heart. So, as Dan mentioned, him and I have been friends for about 27 years. Been playing D&D on and off for the whole time. This will be the third campaign I'm involved in. Dan's DMing one of the other ones. It's a Mad Mage, so it's kind of just a friends group. this is kind of my second foray into kind of like a group with folks that meet up over the internet. I work in IT, and I'm going to be playing a character named Morgwen Monroe. It's a Hexblade. Obviously, starting out first level, where you're not thinking really about multi-class, but it'll end up being a Hexblade Bard. So think of like a Scottish bagpiper with a sword in his hand. I think I sort of mentioned or alluded to a little bit of it in the Discord channel. So I'm looking forward to it. I did a one shot with Az for the Tomb of Horrors for 3 sessions, and I liked his approach to the technology aspect of it. Since COVID hit, I've been doing everything in this little space here in my office. And I really like Tailspire and the technology. So, right. Thanks, Dan. I just like the aspect of meeting people and having a good time and playing a game that I really enjoy. So nice to meet everybody.
Did you have to go into work before the COVID thing hit, and now you're just working from home?
They made us all. I was working from home a couple days a week before COVID hit, and then once COVID hit, it was all virtual, and they even closed my office building down, so there's no building for me to go to if I wanted to. So,
is this up in Seattle too, or?
No, I'm in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Okay, cool.
I'm not too far from Virginia. I'm not too far from. Where are you at in Virginia, T?
I'm in Quantico.
Oh, all right. I'm a couple hours away from you.
Yeah.
About 2.5. All right. So you work for the FBI, is what you're trying to say?
Marine Corps.
I'm not trying to out you. Don't worry about it. I just thought it was
don't worry.
whenever anybody mentions Quantico, like, oh, CIA, FBI, whatever.
Yeah,
So,
no, I'm a Marine. I joined like 2 years ago.
Cool. Awesome.
I told Nej that we have another player that his name is Army. He plays in the Sunday game right now. He's in the Army Reserves, and he oftentimes has to take trips and stuff and go do training, and they send him all over the world. So, how's this for you, Raimundo? We got people from literally all over the planet.
Yeah.
Pretty cool, huh?
That's it. Gotta like it.
Couldn't dream about this back in the days of Gygax.
We did a lot of playing Dungeons and Dragons online in the I want to say mid to late 2000s. We
Cool.
played with all the Aussies because they would log in at like 11 o'clock at night Eastern, and we would just be up all night playing DDO.
Oh, geez, that's right. Playing Stormreach.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, the next thing I guess we want to talk about, and this is a time for you guys too to always ask any questions. I'm just going to go over the custom house rules right now. So this is changes to the rules. This is like the boring part of this session, but I'm going to try to skim over it real fucking quick. And I told you guys, I sent you links on it too. Basically, it's the campaign settings link. Okay. I'm just gonna take the Zoom. When you guys do a Zoom message like that, it pops up for me, so I have to like adjust the pop-up. For the campaign settings, these are changes to the rules as written game. These are some of these are recommendations by other DMs I've listened to, mostly from people like Dungeon Coach, Dungeon Dudes, DM Jacob. Some of these rules, I don't use all of them, but some of them allow for further flexibility of the game, and some make the game more quote-unquote realistic, and some make the game more hardcore. And again, this is your chance to debate it, to say, hey, I don't want that rule. You don't want it. So what I'm doing is I'm just going through the tabs of that link I sent everybody, of the campaign settings link. So one thing I did is I changed the way rest works in D&D based on the recommendation of Dungeon Coach. So there's a few different. So right now in rules as written, there's a short rest and a long rest. We use a short rest is now 10 minutes. It's been buffed. It affects certain classes that do wild shape and stuff. Now, what's happening at Wizards right now is short rests, I think, are going to go away. And I just spoke with some other players, and I want to get your guys' feedback. A lot of short rest abilities could be simplified into things like proficiency bonus per long rest. So the entire short rest mechanic goes away. What do you guys think about that? No opinion, or don't give two shits?
Well, I mean, like,
Or you hate it, or you want to have short rests in the game, or...
and short rests definitely help a druid.
Mm-hmm. So like wild shape with short rest would now be proficient. You would have proficiency bonus per long rest. So as your druid levels up over time, you would gain more wild shape abilities. Instead of just being able to say, oh, I'm going to reset this 2-charge ability every short rest.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
How would it work with Warlock?
Warlock, the idea, I've floated the idea behind some people. So really how a normal D&D session or game is supposed to go on per day adventure-wise is that you're supposed to have 2 short rests. So really what you do, and I'm thinking even maybe you buff some of these abilities, like where they're, like even that Druid one, where you actually up it from proficiency bonus, and you actually do it like 2 times proficiency bonus, or you triple it. So instead of getting, say, like 2 pack slots, you'd get 6. But that would be all you get during the day.
How would this work with inscribing spells into a wizard's spellbook? Because obviously that takes time for you to do that, and normally I would do that through a short rest.
The rules of that are very well set. For instance, if you're scribing a scroll over, it takes, I think, 30 minutes or an hour per spell level.
Yeah.
So that rule is totally unchanged. It's unaffected by the short rest rules.
And then it's like several hours depending on what spell it is from another spell book.
Yeah, if it's like a really high level spell, you got to sit down for like 5 hours apparently.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So if I only can do that during a long rest, wouldn't that affect the gameplay through that? Because I would have normally done that through a short rest.
Short rest is 10 minutes.
Is it?
Yeah, I've buffed it to 10 minutes.
Oh.
But I'm trying to. We're just theory crafting a little bit here as a potential change coming down the pipe, and this is something that's being currently worked on at probably Wizards of the Coast, because in the recent book, Mordenkainen's Monsters of the Multiverse, there's no short rest in the whole book. All the monsters work off of charges per day or something like that. Anyways, we'll just move on. But just know that your short rest right now is buffed to 10 minutes. Long rests are segmented into 2 parts now. 3 hours, your hit dice reset. The other part of the 3 hours, your spell slots refresh. At the end, so your hit dice refresh the first 3 hours, your spell slots at the last 3 hours. And if say you go rest at an inn, this is what we consider to be the full rest, which is the same mechanic that pretty much exists in the rules as written. The idea behind this is we're changing the way like a character rests. They don't immediately go to full HP, full everything. They just don't miraculously heal overnight. In most situations, you're out in the wilderness, someone's taking watch, and you can only use your hit dice to actually heal. So we put the emphasis on hit dice more. Some of these kind of complex, or I want to say custom rules, if you need help with, I'll help you out too as we play the game. You guys like this? Otherwise, we're just going to keep going on. There's another thing. So speak up if you don't like something. We've tried this in Ray. We tried this in the previous game, and I think you liked it.
It does. Yeah. It does work. It sounds really complex, but because
it's pretty simple actually.
And we allow for the healing surge.
Yes.
Thing for the hit dice and whatnot. And more often than not, I think in the campaign we were long resting at max HP because we had Min as a cleric. She was always, healing us up before a rest. And then she'd just recover a spell slot. So, you can plan around it at the same time. So it just allows for that sort of dynamic.
And if you're resting, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I like the 4 setup. I like it being broken down to 4. I'm a little hesitant of getting rid of short rest.
You like the idea of like the idea of short rest though.
I like the idea of short rest. Well, number one, my character also has the natural recovery if I take Circle of Land, which is getting spell slots back on short rest. So I think it gets complicated unless I know what the buffs are that are different. The way that they're, like you said, the wild shape is different. So this seems pretty simple. Nothing really changes from your rules. It's just right in front of you. You can see that some things are. It's not just black or white, long rest, short rest. You got a couple things in between that you can do.
I mean, I was speaking with another DM yesterday actually about this, and he was saying they actually have something called a breather, which is like a 30-second rest or like a minute or something or 2 minutes. But then it's how much layers of complexity do we really need? Because sometimes this doesn't even really come up. I do one thing called overcasting, which happens. It explains how magic works in the world, and why new spells can be created, and basically why casting magic is dangerous. If you try to cast a spell outside the spell description, if you try to get creative with it, you try to overcast a spell. I pull a DC number out. I tell you the number once, and you get to decide if you want to try to overcast it. You have to make a random saving throw, and it determines whether your mind or body is affected. It can end up hurting your body, aka taking stacks of exhaustion, or you roll on the sanity chart as it affects your mind. But just keep in mind, it doesn't actually come up that much because players are very hesitant to do it, but just know it does exist if you want to get slick and creative with it. Even extending the duration of a spell, or the area effect of a spell, or the damage dice of a spell. These are all things that could be done through overcasting. It's an opportunity for players to be as creative as they want.
Oh, you're horrible. I love it.
Yeah, I play in another campaign where the DM within the past 6 or 7 months has thrown in the idea of what I've labeled weirding a spell. So I've taken 2 different spells and combined them and said, this is what I would like to attempt with this. Combining different levels of spells to try to gain some form of a change to the spell or additional effects to it. It allows for a lot of creativity. I play a lot of spellcasters, so it kind of breaks it from the traditional mold of here's how you have to play the game, it's rules as written. It allows some of the longtime players to get a little bit more creative with some of your spell casting. Are the effects that you're mentioning, though, are they permanent or are they temporary?
Just define that. What do you mean permanent?
Well, you'd mentioned obviously exhaustion goes away after time, but you mentioned physical or mental. It
depends on what's rolled out of the long-term if it's long-term sanity or short-term sanity. It depends on how far you fail. You missed the save DC. I linked the article if you're interested. A lot of players again are very trepidate to do it because they're like, well, I could go crazy and lose my mind, or I could be blipped out of existence, But the reality is the DCs typically aren't that high unless you're trying to do something absolutely bonkers, and really kind of exploding, you're going exploding in a flame of magic. I don't know. This is something I've tested again, and it makes sense because players are worried about their self-preservation, so most of the time they don't take risks. But I encourage you, if you want to. I've mentioned it to players because they're they don't know the spell description, and I'm so I say that's not how the spell works, but would you like to overcast it to make it what you're saying it? And then
I get it.
Then they're I don't want to do it. So that's kind of what happens.
Right. So it looks like you've got a base DC of 10 plus a spell level.
Something like that.
Are you adding proficiency or spellcasting modifier?
You make a saving throw. Yeah, that's how it works.
It's just as okay.
The saving throw is random.
I think as you said, you roll a d6 and whatever it is that stat saving throw. So
yes,
it could be charisma, constitution, whatever. So
it's not based off of the saving throw of the character, like if
No.
you maxed out your
Because that's why
intelligence.
we don't want you to min-max it.
All right.
No min-maxing.
I
So it's
get it.
randomized.
I'm a min-maxer from back in the day. So no, I get it. And I was listening to the whole conversation regarding the short rest. I'm all for the idea of just shortening the duration of that. It looks like you've taken into account all of the aspects of what you get back on a short rest. So it doesn't look like we're losing anything by just changing the duration.
If you're looking for the source on this, sometimes I've linked in the YouTube link to the time code of where the person is talking about it, if it is linked. I'm in the actions tab now. All I'm saying, so this is how the help action works. If players want to use the help action, they can do it 30 feet away. And then again, you just role play it out. You do not need to be proficient in it to help another player. But like say if Ray wants to identify a spell or know history about something, typically they should be proficient in that. Or basically have the training of doing that, a particular mental thing. So sometimes it comes up with like mental things. But like anybody can insight it, and this is a rule that kind of came from DM Jacob. So I've removed the idea of the helper does not need to be proficient as well. They can just help you, so it encourages teamwork. Let's go to classes real quick. There was an idea behind Bard's Spellbook, but we're not going to use it because it just says never come up. I go to combat tab now. You can't do called shots. If you get critically hit, you have to make a DC 15 con save or take a stack of exhaustion. This does come up. We've buffed critical hits. If I roll a critical hit or you roll a critical hit, you roll the dice once. And you take say you roll with a two-handed longsword. So you roll a d10. You roll a 4 plus your modifier, right? You automatically add the maximum, which would be 10, to that dice. So it buffs it. Nothing's worse than rolling snake eyes on a critical. We do something called super crits. It has come up. I think it came up in our last game, didn't it, Ray? It's come up.
I think
it's 1 in 400 chance.
You did it. You did it to
Yeah.
Wilma. You shot him with the crossbow.
It actually happened in our other game. Some guy transformed into a wild elk and bull charged a guard and blew him up.
Nice.
Yeah, just with the charge. So if you roll a natural 20, you get to roll another natural 20 and you do quad damage. If you roll a third 20 in a roll, which has never happened, but if it does, you do 8x damage. So you can critically mortally strike someone. This is similar to the call. This kind of replaces the called shot mechanic if you think about it. If you want to knock out an opponent, it takes a more skilled attack to do so. You just take a -2 modifier to try to knock them out down to 0 HP. I'll also tell you, hey, this creature's on death's door. So I will tell you, and I'll use the bloodied conditions and things like that. So I'll say the creature's bloodied, which means the creature's at half HP. The massive damage thing doesn't come up very much because it's just too difficult to calculate using the methods we do right now. It's something I want to use if you get really smacked by something, aka you take over half of your HP in a single attack. I think you could take a stack of exhaustion. Opportunity attacks. This was something I'm not going to use. Anybody can do an opportunity attack. So I'm going to unclick that one. This is the last one. I was just randomly clicking stuff. This is under combat. So how opportunity attacks work is there's buffs. One of the original ideas is only martial classes could do opportunity attacks or take advantage of opportunity attacks. That's just shouldn't be the case. It's too complex. But there is a few ways we've changed opportunity attacks. If you disarm an opponent, they drop their weapon, and they try to pick up their weapon, you get an attack of opportunity. If an opponent falls prone and tries to stand up within your threat range, that provokes an attack of opportunity. So those are a couple little changes to attacks of opportunity, which increases the occurrence of attack of opportunity. Cool. I removed the Dungeon Delver feat because it's stupid. I buffed the grappler feat because grappler feat needs a buff, and so it's been buffed. I unchecked the rest of this. So I've changed the way Sharpshooter and Great Weapon Master work. The -5 plus 10 attack is a part of any martial class can do this attack with a weapon. You just have to be proficient in martial weapons or that particular martial weapon. Do you guys understand? So it doesn't pigeonhole a player into picking this feat, which is often a requirement for martials, so they can diversify into other feats. Originally, I was like, oh, we're going to change the lucky feat, as lucky is super busted. I'd have to relook it up. The way lucky works is unchanged, so lucky is unchanged as is. And that's pretty much it. And Sentinel is the only thing about Sentinel I changed was it only works for a creature size category one size larger than you. Other than that, Sentinel is completely unchanged. So you can't like have a Halfling shank a dragon, like an ancient dragon, and the dragon can't move. Okay? That was the only thing I guess that pissed me off about Sentinel. That was so for the people doing the polearm Sentinel builds. I go to items. Attunement now only takes an action instead of an hour. And sometimes when you pick up an item, I'll just say, hey, this is what it is. If it's like a really powerful artifact or something like that. Healing potions you have two ways to use healing potions. If you use a healing potion as a full action, you get the maximum HP from that healing potion. If you use the healing potion as a bonus action, you have to roll the dice for that healing potion. Pretty cool, huh? So I
really like that one. That one was clutch in the last session we played.
It gives you an option as a player to use. It's a buff to healing potions, and it's a buff to just healing potions. And this is a thing I'm trying out. Really, because the rules as written is drinking a potion is an action. Let's go to level up perks. Or level up. When you level up, your spell slots refresh, but your hit points do not refresh. When you level up, you can roll the hit dice or take the average. If you roll a 1 on the hit dice when you level up, you can re-roll it. So it's up to you as a player. Do you want to take the average or do you want to gamble and roll? I encourage gambling.
I think I gambled every roll. I got a couple 2s and 1s.
Oh no,
1s in there for my wizard. So
kind of just I'm on rolls now. When you roll strength, dex, or con checks, those are like you're physically interacting with the world and typically can be re-rolled. But if you roll an int, wisdom, or charisma check, those typically cannot be re-rolled. This is just a general inference. It does not mean it's 100% of the time. But one thing I see Matt Mercer do, say if you're trying to insight someone, and I roll your insight check in secret, because we don't want the metagaming. But say you try to insight him again, or another player tries to insight him, the DC goes up. Then that's kind of goes to the second point. Right, I will sometimes roll your roll in secret. So I'll be like, what's your modifier? And some players don't like that, but it prevents metagaming. Now, if you're physically interacting with the world, you can see if you fucking push the boulder over. So you can roll your athletics check, right? Or this, but it's like I'm trying to remember something through an insight or a history roll or an arcana roll. But you get to roll that out in the open. Because it's like, but if it should be a hidden roll, then I might just say, I'm going to roll this in secret. So, and especially for the experience level of the table, right? It'll increase the difficulty of the game and also prevent metagaming. We use a concept called advantage and disadvantage stacking. And you can read about it. But basically, it's a way to increase the amount of advantage modifiers to advantage stacking something. And this can be used if you guys use the help action. So say someone rolls with advantage and they're getting help from a player. They not only roll with advantage, but they get +2 to the roll. It does come up sometimes, but again, you have to be like an on-point DM and know all the rules and stuff. So it's not super useful. I mean, again, it's something to think about and it's interesting, but again, how much does it come up? Death saving throws. All death saving throws are rolled in secret, and if you miss a death saving throw by 5 or more, you take a stack of exhaustion. So it's like you're bleeding out. So it's a nerf to players, for sure. And this is a part of the grittier rules set from Dungeon Dudes. If you try to revive a player with a medicine check and fail, the medicine check is rolled in secret. You could stabilize the person, or cause more. You could hurt them. They could cause a failed death save because of that. It hasn't come up really that much. It came up the very last part of our game, where another player did kill another player. Are you getting bored yet, Nej? You're like, fuck all these rules. I revised the counterspell rule. You can read about it if you want, because you guys aren't level 5 yet. It's not really important. Basically, you can read about it there if you want to know more about it.
Quick question.
Sure.
With death throws being in secret, do people know whether or not it succeeded?
No. Unless someone makes a medicine check or something, I guess.
Okay, does the player know if they... I guess it doesn't really matter because they can't do anything, but does the player know if they succeeded?
No. The only way the only way you know if you fail is if I tell you fail a saving throw by 5 or more, I will tell you to take a stack of exhaustion.
Okay. Shoot, so we could just bleed out and not know it.
Well, yes, and so it brings a level of intensity to the game, and it prevents metagaming.
When you are unconscious.
Exactly.
So.
When you drop to 0 as a player, you take a stack of exhaustion. And this helps. There's other ways that the other DMs have done this rule, aka your death saves carry on as a player. It's more complex. This is a very simplified way to do it. If you drop to 0, you take a stack of exhaustion. In other words, if I drop to 0, my cleric comes over and lays and hands me for 1 HP. I stand up, and rules is written, nothing happens. Now it's like I take a stack of exhaustion as I begin to take the effects of coming back from the brink of death. I don't really use inspiration points because when I give them out to players, they don't use them. And they're just a pain in the ass. I talked about getting up from prone. This hasn't come up too much. Instead of requiring half movement, it requires 15 movement. So essentially, it only really helps with larger creatures with greater movement. So this is a DM thing, I think, where like say you're playing a creature that's very high mobility, they can quickly get up. Or typically a large creature quickly gets up. I told you about the attack of opportunity from standing up from prone. I'm on the last tab. Certain wizards can get tattoos on their faces or their body. To inscribe the spells, instead of on a spell book, they can inscribe it on their body. It costs 3 times as much to do so, and they have to meet a person who has a feat to do so. This feat can be learned by players. And it has come up. Some players are like into the flavor of it, and they're like, fuck it, I want that. So it has come up, and it's pretty cool. This is something I took from Dungeon Craft, who's another DM. But basically, super badass, high-level wizards could have a ton of tattoos just all over their body. It's a way they also can identify or flex on you, right? That's it for the custom rules. What do you guys think? We got some hardcore rules in there. It's mostly the exhaustion rules that get the players. It doesn't really kill players, but it does like nerf bat them a little bit.
I think the one thing to mention too is if you get knocked by a critical hit and fail your con check, you don't take the 2 stacks. It's only 1.
That's correct.
Per occasion. Yeah.
You can only take 1 stack in a single round. Typically. I mean, so it's not like I'm just knocking you silly. The thing about players is they don't understand the exhaustion rules really. So the first stack, you take disadvantage on all ability checks. And an initiative is an ability check. So you would roll disadvantage with initiative when combat comes up with a stack of exhaustion. The second one is, a second stack of exhaustion is your speed is cut in half, correct? And the third one is you take disadvantage on all saving throws and attack rolls. And then it just gets nastier from there. So sometimes players do get up. You know, if you wander away as a player, it happens. Like in our previous game, they'll get smacked by some creatures and, they'll be with 3 stacks of exhaustion. Because they're like, well, I can take this. And then they're like, and the action economy catches up. You got a question, Nash? Neji, you got a question? Or are you good to go?
Oh yeah. Getting rid of exhaustion is just finishing a long rest like normal, right?
Yeah.
No changes to that.
You
Okay.
fit when you can only remove 1 stack per day though.
Oh, okay.
So it is a nerf. That's rules as written, and then also, but you can use spells like Greater Restoration and things like that to get rid of them. And also, there's potions to get rid of it as well. I forgot what's the name of the potions, but it's not like. Think about the exhaustion stack as it's a mechanic that's underutilized, comes out of the DMG or whatever, and it's about basically your character's been hit in the fucking neck or something like that, or he's gotten hit really hard, and it's a way to reflect that fact that you got racked, like dropping to 0 HP and coming back from the brink of death or bleeding out. Cool.
Do you use the same mechanic on the opposite side though?
It's difficult for me to do it with like name monsters and things like that, or just monsters in general. Like there's certain spells, like what was it, the Radiant one, that causes stacks of exhaustion. It's very unfortunately, Tailspire doesn't have the thing where I can put down little tokens of exhaustion stacks or little beads or something like that, like bottle cap things like you can do in tabletop games. But I would totally be ready to do it. It just doesn't come up that much because by the time of the combat, you guys are fighting them. Most of the time, you kill them all. So it's like, yeah, they had a stack of exhaustion, but they died. So this is definitely a nerf against players. But
it seems really daunting, but it doesn't come up as much as you'd think. Like which
like begs the question: why are we using it? Yeah.
Well, it does. Like when it comes up, it's there to add the realism.
Sure.
Like in our game, it certainly come up just enough to have an impact, but it wasn't a detriment where we were fighting the exhaustion mechanic. So like that's from someone that's played, that long term with these rules. So
Anos, what do you think?
I don't have any issues in here, to be honest.
Ready to rumble
before.
Ready to rumble. I think we're just ready to kind of. You guys are all on Tailspire. We're pretty much ready to go to the next phase, which is making characters, rolling up characters, asking questions, and stuff like that. I posted the backdrop. You guys want me to tell you the intro to the game before we start rolling characters up, or are we good to go?
I read it.
Cool. We are good to go. I think certain players, like, they want to play a certain character, like Nej/Tumble wants to play a rogue. We cool with that? I'll just open up the floor and let you guys talk about it while I go get a drink.
So I think we had a few people that had already committed to what they wanted to do. We know Ramondo wants to do the Druid. I know that we have Neji wants to do the Thief. So I'm doing and I'm sorry, Ray, you wanted to be the Hexblade, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Really, do you know what you're doing? I mean, Anis?
So I got a wacky idea I want to do. I was thinking about doing a fighter / wizard. Which I was going to go with something like, is it Eldritch Knight and Wizard of Evocation?
Yeah.
So I was thinking about doing something like that. I'm going to go fighter to start off with, so I'm more of a melee character to start off with. And then Wizard when I get to either 4th or between 5th or 6th, depending on how it goes.
You're going to do it until you get second attack and then probably go into the Wizard. I feel you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The levels I'll be going to will probably be like between 7 and 9 for the fighter, and obviously between 10 and 14 for the wizard.
Gotcha. Cool. So we all have ideas. I've already rolled my character up, so I guess we're just kind of, for everybody else, figuring out how you want to go. We have, really, we have a bard that does spell casting, so we've got a thief to cover skills. I can do a little bit of skills, so I guess really we're just concerned with the druid can do a little bit of healing, so that covers that area.
And one rule I didn't talk about was healing surge. Healing surge is so. This is an idea that came out of. This is another rule that comes out of the DMG. You can use your hit dice as an action. You can use any number of hit dice you want to use to heal yourself, and you do not have to do it after a short rest. You can do it in combat as an action. It's a way of you catching your breath, but you use your resources of a hit dice. Your hit dice reset after a long rest. Right? But it's a way, it's kind of like a healing potion, right?
Is that a full action?
It is a full action to do so, though.
Okay.
I did mention that to another DM, and he was like, or another player, and they're like, I hate it. I want it as a bonus action. And I'm like, you're greedy, mother. I'm like, you're greedy, man. But this is a standard action that all players get, and I've used it once with, maybe I used it once with named monsters. Because it's really dangerous to them. Like, I used it with the stone golem once, and he healed like 300 hit points. But don't worry, in the end they still killed it. But it was pretty dangerous. So we're good to go. I mean, does everybody kind of have their character? They're just going to stick with that character, or they don't want to change it up, or what?
I think we're
just ready to go, huh?
I think we're all pretty ready to go.
Let me go around the table then, and we'll roll for your attributes. So here's how it works. With the standard array, you get 72 total points. So what'll happen is you roll 46. If you go below 72, I'll change your ability scores a little bit and go from there. If you roll higher, we'll just roll with that. So it's fine. It doesn't matter if you're like super busted in the 80s or whatever. It's okay. We'll start off with Nej. Since he's a rogue, he's got probably... Oh, did you guys want to be brothers? Since you're both going to be changelings, or what? You want to be like solo?
I'm cool to role play it, or even if we meet and we've been friends for a while based on the.
I would not like to be family. I just think it would work better for my character's story arc.
Yeah, fair.
Okay. Nej, why don't you... this is another way we practice, guys, as we're getting some of the technology in this game, right? You're going to go into D&D Beyond and roll into the combat log. So you're going to be in the campaign or whatever, and you're going to go to the lower left where the dice roller comes up, Nej, and you're going to click 46. Cool. Roll it up. And I'll keep track of it, and then I'll post it in the Discord for you.
So you said 4d6? Or
yep.
4d6?
46, and we drop the lowest one. So that one is a 10.
10.
Next one up.
Am I writing this down, or are you writing?
I got it written down. You're just rolling away, buddy.
All right, cool.
11.
11. 12.
Yep. Straight up average mode.
Jesus.
7.
You let me know when to stop. I'm not really counting.
You're good. Another 7. And a 16. So let's see what the total is here. So your total is 63, so that means you're about 10 under. So what I'm going to do is change some of your attributes, right? I like the fact that you have 2 7s. But I'm going to change and buff it up a little bit. So I'm going to take your 12, and we're going to change that to an 18. And then we'll take the 11 to I think 14. Yeah. So this is what the total. I will link this in Discord for you to use. Give me a second. I want to use my little thing here. And so you get to use, so you have your character already pre-made in D&D Beyond, and now you're just changing up the attributes or using the override or whatever in there.
Yep.
Cool. So here it is. And this is for Nej. You see that?
Yep,
So you have
that's it.
you have some pretty overpowered things, and that's kind of like I like to see characters like
Nice
that.
balance, yeah.
Well, just like so you rolled really poorly, so we buff it up, but we top weight it a little bit, especially if you have like
Yeah.
really low attributes or something. Who wants to roll next? Why don't we go to Ray?
I'll roll.
Okay, Anos.
Okay.
Roll
So you said
46.
46, right?
That's correct. You guys seeing the combat log on your side as well? It's a toggleable feature on the right-hand panel, I think, where you can click combat log in your character sheet. It'll pull out a side panel, and it'll show the rolls as they happen. You need to make sure your rolls are to public, because I don't see any rolls right now, Anos.
Oh, wait, what?
Nope, I don't see any rolls. So I'll try again and say roll. There's a toggle on the lower left. As you click that custom roller, it says roll to everyone or roll to self. You want to make sure it says roll to everyone.
Yeah, it might be because I were in character builds.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, you have to be on your actual character page for it to go into the game log.
Alright, I'll re-roll again.
there we go. I see it now. So that is a 9, a 14, 12, 13, 11, and 16
All of them,
by
right?
13. Yeah, and that actually equals 72. So the question is do you want to have one higher buff stat, or you like these stats the way they are?
I want one stat buff because
You're a min-maxer? Sure. What I'll do is I'll change this to a 17, and then I'm going to lower this one down to a 6. Like this. How's that sound?
I think so. It's just because I'm going going as a melee guy, then going a wizard mainly. I just feel like I'm probably going to get one shot.
So you're already complaining about getting fucked by dice? I like that attitude. Ray, why don't you go?
Yeah, right.
How's that 6 charisma sounding, Anos?
Or the dump stat? What are we using? Strength or int? Until the mind flyer shows up. Ray.
And
Here we go with Ray. Another 10, right? Yep.
Yep.
7. 15. A 7. Well, you are cursed.
Yeah, man. I'm terrible at the moment.
You and your family are both cursed. So this is a 12. So you rolled really poorly.
Bad.
Let's massage these a little bit. Let's see what we got there. I changed a few of them around, but you still have 72. So this is to white shadow. There you go, buddy. You see that? I just linked it in Discord for you. Let's go to Ramundo.
Right. Close my log here first.
There you go. That is a 13.
Ooh.
A 7. $13. A 14. A 10.
Yep.
And the last one.
Come on. Nope.
And an 8. So pretty low at a 65. So let's change a few of them, right? You guys have been rolling like shit.
Yeah.
I'm going to change that one to a 17. Then we'll take this 13. What I'm usually do is I take your top 2 scores and I just buff them, right? And then I leave everything else kind of the same. This one's going to be a 16. And then, yeah, let's change this to, and then I'll change this one to a 14. And there you go, Ramundo. You see that? So
Yeah.
it equals 72. Nobody's rolled above a 72 right now. So that's pretty grim. Morgween is up. Morgween, we didn't roll for it in the previous game because we just started off with the one shot, but this is your chance to, like, be OP.
Yeah. 2, 3, 4. Here we go. Ugh.
10.
1.
Here we go. The sighs are already coming out just on the first roll. The curse of the level 1. The mosquito comes by and bites you and you die.
Okay.
13.
There you go.
Oh my. What is that, 15?
Mm-hmm. There you go.
14.
14.
Two
How
more
many
to
do I
go.
got left? All right. Oh, damn.
8. Pray to the god of Rima.
Yeah. And here's the last one.
11. So you're under by 1. So do you want to have like one powerful attribute or not? Or just want me to buff up one by, you want me to take the 15 to a 16? We'll start off with that for starters. Do you want me to buff you a little bit? Do you want to get up to like a 17 maybe? But then we're going to take that 8 down to a 7.
Well, I didn't. Well, let's see. Let me look at the.
Do you want me to link it to you? What you got?
Let me look at the log here. So it looks like 11, 15, 19, 9. So it looks like I've got 2
There you
dump stats.
I
Yeah,
just linked
show
it
me
to you.
what we got so far.
Do you want to take
Alright.
that one to a 17, the other one to a 7?
I'm looking for it. Where did you post it?
Now, here's the thing. It doesn't account for racial abilities and other abilities that you can stack on top of these abilities, right? So, I mean, this is just like your base ability. This is just your base rolls.
You know what? What are you doing? Buff one, subtract from the other?
Yeah.
Or...
Do you want to buff? I'm just trying to say, because you're kind of a min-maxer, do you want to buff that one up to a 17?
No, I'll find a race that this will work for.
Okay, there you go. There's your rolls then, buddy.
Yeah.
No need to help you out, but you do take a stack of exhaustion. No, I'm just kidding.
This guy.
Here we go. So everybody's got their characters rolled up. So one other thing I didn't tell you guys that I'm trying out, and I started it off with my other game, depending on your background, this is based from your background, you get a feat based on your background. And this is a concept that I haven't solidified yet, but every background would have a feat attached to it. And the variant human race would go away. You understand? So Morgween, you can do that as well if you want to play a human, I think. Or you said you want to play half-elf, right?
Half-elf, yeah.
Okay, so if anybody was thinking about playing variant human, it goes away. There's no variant human because everybody gets a feat. And that's one reason why a lot of people picked human. But you can't pick a feat. It's based off your background that you choose, right? So let me start off with a Nej. Nej, what's your background? You kind of told me you're cursed or something like that with the haunted one background.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So my character feels responsible for the death of his friend, and he's like, he feels as though he's like cursed to be shifted. He basically shifted into his friend like as he died, and
Cool.
he thinks it's kind of like like his punishment, I guess. Like that's what he believes. And then he kind of like on the run because he was wanted because the town kind of like was like, what the heck, man? Like you killed him and they didn't like him anyways. So basically, some dude like kind of like took him under his wing and they kind of just, thieved and did criminal stuff. So his background is like criminal / spy.
I'm just
that's
looking
where he
through
kind of like,
I'm listening to what you're saying, and I also see that you picked the criminal background, right? So
Yeah,
I'm
'cause
looking at the criminal spy background,
yeah.
and one feat I'm thinking of to give you, there's two that you could use. See, poisoner would be more of an assassin. So this is another generalized thing before we continue. Here's the thing about playing evil characters and evil campaigns.
He's not evil.
Okay, cool. But this is your chance as a group to decide if you all want to be evil. I'm assuming that you guys don't want to be evil. You want to be more neutral / good, correct?
Yeah, I do.
Because the problem is if you have like one evil character in the group, it can be problematic. Right? You kind of all have to be on the same page, right? Unless you're very good at role-playing, you're very experienced, and you kind of know what you're doing. Because usually what happens is there's usually like a conflict that, unless you guys can separate that out as a group, you know what I mean? But it's just something I've seen, and it's something that idea if you guys want to be a bunch of bandits or assassins or whatever, cool. So I'm assuming everybody is neutral to good, correct?
Yep.
Okay, we're good to go with that. Okay, just want to make that kind of clear.
For now.
For now. So I'm thinking of I look at like some of the feats I see here, and you're kind of a criminal / spy. You want to be more of like a deceiver, or do you want to be more of like an aggressor, like combat focused or role play focused?
I don't think combat focused because he doesn't really he's not really a combat kind of guy. In fact, I think one of his shortcomings would be that he kind of just like runs away at the first sign of trouble. So
what I'm gonna do is let's give you this. Again, it's not like a super. Sometimes I'll pick the feats that aren't like the super powerful feats, right? Sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you the actor feat though. That sound good?
Okay.
And I actually buffed the actor feat as well. I buffed it with this ability called Catchy Performance. So you use it up to proficiency bonus per. You can use up to max targets of your proficiency bonus. So right now I have 2 targets. Use it once per long rest, and you basically do like a performance. And it's your persuasion versus their insight. It's a contesting skill challenge that happens. So you roll your persuasion, and I roll my insight as a counter roll with whatever creature you're trying to do. And the next ability check they do is at disadvantage. Initiative is an ability check as well. So you're distracting them, right? And also you get +1 to charisma.
Okay.
And you get skill check advantages with any deception or performance check. So it's pretty cool, right?
Okay.
Do you see that?
Yeah.
Cool, huh?
The only thing, I mean, you're buffing it, so I guess it's like offset, but the only thing I would kind of be like, it says you can mimic the speech of another person, but
yeah, and this fits with your
already kind of doing that.
Yeah, and this kind of fits with your changeling theme a little bit too. I like that.
That's
I have to read up a little bit more about changelings because I think you guys are the first ones. Let's go to Anos.
I would say, would this kind of conflict with? So my character doesn't really talk that much. He's like, I wouldn't say he's shy, but he doesn't talk. And that's something that he'll have to like get over as the story progresses.
Yeah.
Do you think that would conflict with that at all, or no?
It's a way for you to intimidate. It's a way for you to be like to fit your spy background. Like, what is a spy? It's a person who can like fit in, mimic, and fit in with those people, right? I mean, are you more of a criminal or a spy? You have to decide that. Criminal is a guy who like, you can pickpocket better or stuff like that. But this feat allows you to, it fills in a hole, really, I think. And also feats are awesome. Anos, do you want to go next, or do we want to go with someone else? You ready, Anos?
Go with someone else at the minute. I'm going to struggle with my character creation.
Okay, Ray. Because you kind of already know what your character is. So your character is. Let me go back to the sheet here.
Had the urban bounty hunter background.
Okay, so you're a bounty hunter.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. The basic backstory was he'd moved to a larger city in pursuit of information.
Cool. You don't have to go into the whole backstory if you want to be secret about it.
Yeah. No, found out that information and then stayed there to, not being happy with what he found, to not be a stain.
And you're a warlock, but you have the hexblade thing going on, right?
Yeah.
And I was ragging on Morqueen/Dallas a little bit last night about the hexblade thing. Like what is your hexblade sword about? Because it's a big part of a core identity to hexblade. Without the blade, you're useless almost without it. It gives you a lot of your power or whatever warlock powers you have. Usually this blade is a sentient item of some kind. I thought of, what was it? What was the name of that blade, Morguine, that I linked last night? Do you remember it?
Let me see if I can find it.
It was
is
black or something. It's like black something.
I'm looking for it.
Black Razor.
Yeah, Black Razor.
So Black Razor was this famous blade out of White Plume Mountain, and it was like hell bent on. It was built of like stars, and all you would do every day, like it wanted you to kill someone and absorb it, and the objective behind it was like oblivion essentially. So like usually to your sword, and you have like the same objective or whatever weapon you're using. And I think for a hex weapon you can use a crossbow or whatever. But developing that story, like who crafted it, why was it crafted, what is the purpose, what are the goals of it, and do those goals match with what you are, right? And what are you trying to do as a player?
Well, that was definitely like the theory that I had, that like Ray had this bloodthirst to always want to kill someone.
Yeah, you were telling me a little bit about that when we were talking about it.
Yeah. So I think that does fit in a little bit there.
And it's kind of like you're a caster, though, right? This is more like magical stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to think. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like magic initiatives as maybe the optional feat for you. What do you think?
Yeah, I can go with that.
Or Fey Touch. I don't know. Because Changeling aren't from the Fey.
I think they're Fey. Are they?
I have to look. Take a quick look here.
Changelings are Fey and monsters of the multiverse.
Yeah, a changeling is Fey. I was
Maybe
thinking of
Fey
picking up. Yeah, I was thinking of either picking up Shadow Touched or Fey Touched later on. So,
let's take a look at Fey Touch, because that one kind of makes the most sense. So you get Misty Step as along. What's the other one? You get another Divination or Enchantment School of Magic at level 1. Innate spell per long rest, and you gain Misty Step as an innate spell per long rest. And it's kind of tied to your blade, right? And the idea that you're a changeling, and maybe this sword came from the Fae a little bit. So I don't know. This is just we're just throwing ideas out.
Sounds good.
Let's go to Raimundo.
So backstory around this guy. He basically grew up desert, joined military. He's now out of military, soldier background. So he's about 30 years old, a little bit wear and tear on him, a little bit of that veteran style. And then, like I said, everything is going to be in close. So he's going to start as human variant, and I'm going to start with grappler feet. And whatever you give me on top.
So this is what I was trying to say, is like, as a human, I'm not going to say no, but I would prefer if you picked regular human, so you get +1 to all ability scores, right?
Okay.
And then, so you're no longer a human variant, you're just a human, but we give you the grappler feat.
Sounds good to me.
Does that sound good?
Sounds good to me.
Cool.
Yep.
And I told you about the grappler feat, I think, in our one-on-one, and we buffed it. So it has these cool abilities. Also, you can just role play it and do things like that. When you grapple someone, you're using like your athletics or your strength. But as you shapeshift into a druid, you take on the strength of whatever creature you're shapeshifting into as well to use that athletics. Right. And if in your skills, I think, transfer over as well. Because the skills are like who you are a part of. So like if you are proficient in athletics, which you are, it says that you are, you just have to put your attributes in, okay? Let's go to, is there anything else you want to say, Ramondo?
How can we put in the attributes?
I'll show you how to do it. It's pretty easy.
You go to your character builder, and then you go to the tab where the attributes are, and you go to manual entry, and you change them.
Yeah, okay. It's manual / rolled, and you can actually just put it in.
Got it. I'll figure it out.
Cool. Morgween. The bard, right? Who tried to open up his bar, but unfortunately one of his friends got turned into a genie.
Stole all our damn money.
/ Anna's.
No. That's a multiverse version of this character.
Okay,
yeah,
sure. Doesn't matter to me. So, it could be either way.
Yeah, no. The backstory I'll post into once I'm finished all of it. I'll just post into the Discord channel. It's easier to figure out that way, to just read it and understand. I'm just about done my stats, so I just need to figure out what one last +1 goes to.
Cool.
But yeah, I'm gonna go half elf for the plus, since I'm going to be Hexblade Bard. Half elf makes sense because it's gonna give me a +2 to charisma and a +1 to 2 other ability scores.
Mm-hmm.
So I just need to figure out where that second +1 goes. But my stats look serviceable. So that works out. As far as feats, I hadn't really considered. You're not giving the half elf a free feat at level 1, are you? Or are you giving everybody a free feat?
I'm giving everybody a free feat based on their background. And you have the entertainer background. I'm trying to think of like a cool entertainment background one that you can get. Or, I think one that's kind of cool with you is just if you want to play off your elven ability more, is just giving you elven accuracy.
Well, then we've got to go back to your house rules and ask you how you do elven accuracy, because that is the most broken feat in this game.
Not really.
Because anything that gives me advantage gives me like triple secret advantage.
How it works is you roll advantage stack +1. So you get +2 to the modifier. You get +2 to the roll. That's how it works in our game. So instead of rolling 3 dice, you roll 2 dice with advantage, take the higher of both of them, and then you get +2 to the roll. But you have to gain advantage to do it as well. That's an idea because of your being a half-elf. I'm also just thinking of some other ones. I would like to put one, healer is another one that could work. It depends on just what you want to try to go with.
No,
is your character more of a fighter or a...
Yeah, it's going to be a Gish build.
What weapon you're using is your Hexblade weapon?
Longsword.
So yeah, why don't we make you a little more combat focused then, I guess.
I wouldn't argue with you if you wanted to turn that feat into ASI.
No.
I'm messing with you.
Yeah, it's cool though.
The min-maxer in me has to come out whenever it needs to play. So I get it.
I'm looking at the slasher feat.
Is the longsword a slashing weapon?
Yes.
Yeah, it is. You're right.
And it's a half ASI feat. You get dexterity or strength. I'm just looking at the abilities of it. I don't know. I think this is unchanged from the thing. So when you hit someone with a critical hit with your weapon, they have disadvantage on all attack rolls till the start of your next turn. And then Once per turn, when you hit a creature that deals slashing damage, you reduce the speed of the target by 10 feet until the start of your next turn.
Mhm.
This happens every round, and you get one charge of it. So you can do one attack.
Yeah.
And you basically cripple the creature.
Right.
Cool. Do you like that? I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that works. I mean, if there's something else that works
Nope,
better,
that's what you
like,
get.
That's what we get. Then.
That's
There
what you
you
get,
go.
buddy.
All right.
Let's go to Anos. Did you figure it out yet? Did you delve through all 50 characters that you have and pick one? It's time, my friend.
I did. The problem was I couldn't think of the right background to go with. But I've managed to decide to go with Hermit instead.
Hermit, okay, cool.
But as my backstory goes, I've not got anything for it yet. I did originally have something, but I changed it up since I decided to go fighter/wizard.
So you want to be fighter wizard?
Yes.
Okay. How much you're going to try to multi-class eventually?
Yes, it'll be like I'm decided between level 3 to 6 is when I put in fighter. Before I switched to wizard. So then I got the extra attack from it.
But you're like a hermit, though, right?
Yeah. So my race is Furbolg.
Yeah.
As far as I can work out on the race, they're more of a secluded race, and they don't normally venture and go far. So my idea was with that is I was grown different to the others, and I decided I wanted to adventure rather than stay behind and stay my own one little cave. But as far as I got with it so far,
what weapon do you use?
I'm going to be using short sword.
Okay.
I had a long while for that. I was going to use something else, but I decided short sword would be suited best. I did have one question though.
Yeah.
Longsword is classed as a versatile weapon, is it not?
Yes.
Then it'll be a longsword that I use then instead.
Okay, you want to use longsword?
Yeah.
Do you hate mages?
What do you mean?
I'm just asking you a question.
No.
Okay.
I personally like mages. I would have created a wizard class all in all, but for some reason I wanted a melee class too.
And you want to be a wizard?
Yeah, so I was thinking of going Eldritch Knight, which they do give me spells
for sure.
into the wizard category. So I thought it would be nice. But yeah, I figured I'd start off with fight first, like I said, and then move on to wizard.
I'm just trying to think here.
As
Why
far
don't
as
you
I
give
worked
yourself?
out,
I know, yeah. Like I'm saying, like so I'll give you two options here. Since you're like kind of this, I don't know. Do you have a feat that you're thinking of?
not really. No, I was caught off guard with all the feat things. I was kind of undecided on what I should be. Whether
So
it be
I'm thinking like
permanent
ritual caster, cleric, or healer.
I remember what ritual casting does, but the healer I'm not familiar with.
I'll link you both of them here. Ritual caster, you learn up to a certain amount of spells. It's just a way to kind of add more cleric stuff to the group, because that's what we're missing, I think, right now. And let me take a look at the healer thing.
Yeah, this is actually kind of funny. On my other game that I'm playing, I'm actually a wizard, but I've got whole healing spells.
And with the healer thing, it's pretty cool. Like when you use a healing kit, you can like heal people with it. And the healer's kit has like a certain amount of charges. And when you stabilize a creature using healer's kit, they're not just stabilized, they actually come back with 1 HP.
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty cool too. It's pretty good. Which one do you want to do? Do you want to have one that's more magic, like ritual casting, or do you want to pick healer?
Can I be greedy and take both?
No.
Worth a try.
The first no of the game. You get to pick one or the other. So I'm trying to think about like the Furbog. He's in like the nature in the woods. And this is why there needs to be a lot more feats in the game as well. To add like a lot more variety to these cool backgrounds. And they don't have to be like ultra powerful feats. They could be like minor feats essentially.
With Ritual Caster...
well, the other option is you can pick up Great Weapon Master. But like I said, we've buffed Great Weapon Master. All martial classes could use the... if you're martial trained in that martial weapon, you can use the -5 plus 10 to that. So, but the Great Weapon Master allows you to, I think, get special attacks though. So you roll like if your 1 is a 2, something like that on the damage rolls.
With the Ritual Caster, anyway, what spells does it target towards that I would be using? Because as far as I can see in the spells, none are not being named.
Yeah, you have cleric. These are cleric spells. But also, if you come up, you basically have a spell book like you're talking about because you want to be a wizard. And then if you come up to a cleric spell that's ritual, you can add it to your spell book.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But you gain 2 spells known off the bat.
Yeah, I'll go with the
Ritual Caster?
Ritual Casting.
Okay, Ritual Caster Cleric is the one I picked for you. Cool. We're ready to go, guys. Anybody need to take a small little break before we get started?
Oh, sweet playing today.
Here's the other thing. We have this thing called Hero Forge, where you can create your model. Everybody has picked a character, their background is set, and they maybe have like a mental image of that character, right? You pick out some fantasy art. It's kind of cool. Link in your art to your character profile so we can actually see a picture, when you roll, so you're not just some like Facebook blank profile image or whatever. You want to, you can also go to make Hero Forge, right? I think I've linked this to all you guys already. HeroForge.com, and for $7.99 you get to create your own custom model, which you link in through your Tailspire account, and that model then is put in. For the first day, of course, we just rolled up characters, and this is a kind of a new experience for people. You might not have a model right away, so I'm just going to kind of go around the table. We'll start off with Nej. Does Nej have a Hero Forge model already, or should we just pick out a random one ready to go?
You can just pick out a random one. I do not have one as of right now.
What does he look like right now?
So he's a kid, like a 12-year-old kid.
He's a 12-year-old kid.
He's actually 19. He's actually 19, but he's like I told you, he's like stuck as his friend. Because he feels like responsible for his death, and like the fact that he can't unshapeshift out of his friend. It's like he thinks he's cursed to forever like have that form as punishment. And so he's got like some internal battles that he's got to like move past before he can actually start shifting and doing changeling things.
Now, this is why you kind of want to make your own model. If you have like a really good image of your character in mind. Now, with changelings, like obviously if you want to change it to like an orc or some other kind of model or whatever, we just use that model as we play the game. But like this 12-year-old boy, I'm just going to pick a gnome for you.
Go for it.
And
or would it be easier to just, because I'm always, changelings are always changing form, to just make a changeling looking character and then...
Yes, that too. So
I'm not like changing all the time.
Yeah, so again, this is our first game, so I create it. So what I do is I create your model. Like if you go into Tailspire, you'll see your model I created for you. It's this little gnome guy.
Yeah, I see it.
And and I've also, if you hit the tab button, you'll see your name. So we'll use this model for now, and we'll just go from there. We'll figure it out as we play a little bit more. Ray.
Okay. Sorry, do you mind if I just jump in a little sec?
Sure, bud.
I'm having a problem with my character creation of creating the name for it now, but Verbogs don't use names.
Are we just going to grunt at each other?
That's why I figured. But
Well, I have a
as far as
furbog in my other game, and he uses a name. So you got to
Okay,
pick. You
so-
have to pick a name, but you'd be like, we have no names amongst our own culture, or something like that. Which I don't know how that would work technically. I mean, romantically, it sounds amazing, but like, how do you like identify things? You know?
Could
I-
someone like in our party just give him a name,
Yeah, that's
Like-
fine.
Yeah,
and then
That-
like he
that's
just
good.
rolls with it?
There we
yeah,
go.
that's great. So it kind of the third box says that other companions give them in it as a nickname, since that is his chosen given name, which I'm happy with that.
And do you have a model?
Yeah, I already linked it in. I just need to
Unnamed?
pull it in. Unnamed, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
unfortunately.
So yeah, it'll be unnamed, I guess, right?